Napoleon is coming to theaters soon, so here's a quick 5-minute video going over his life and impact. Napoleon Bonaparte was born on August 15th, 1769, nice, not in France, but in Corsica, an Italian-speaking island that had been conquered by France just 4 months earlier. He actually spoke Corsican and Italian during his upbringing, only learning French after he was 10. Funnily enough, he wasn't actually made fun of for his height, as he turned out to be 5'6", about average for the time. He went to military school to be an artillery officer and performed quite well. However, he was blocked from promotions as French society at the time was very segmented. This would change, however, in 1791 with the French Revolution, which ushered in a chaotic period of democratization. Napoleon rose through the ranks quickly, becoming a captain. This was also due to him marrying Josephine, an older woman with royal connections. At the same time, Republican France went to war with various European monarchies, starting the War of the First Coalition. Here, Napoleon would have his first military victory at the Siege of Toulon at 1793, where he proposed and carried out a plan to bombard the occupying British fleet. For this, he was promoted to brigadier general, and his military career took off. Throughout the First Coalition War, he won victories in northern Italy and conquered Piedmont, and with his help, France established sister republics, but his success made some people nervous, and he was sent to Egypt. There he conquered the region. However, the British destroyed the French fleet there, and so he returned somewhat defeated. Napoleon bounced back quickly, however. He became first consul of France by the next year, making him the most politically powerful person in the country. Here he tried his hand at governance and actually did quite well, bringing back the Catholic Church as well as religious tolerance and friendliness towards Jews, started a new national bank and welfare system, as well as supporting education, although he did restrict the rights of women. But the monarchies of Europe were still itching for a fight. As such, the War of the Second Coalition started in 1799, and Napoleon scored another victory, crossing the Alps into Milan and defeating the Austrians. And if you can't tell, Napoleon beating the crap out of Austria is a consistent theme in this period. While the war ended in 1802, England perpetually remained at war with Napoleon, although they didn't attack each other very well, since England had a way better navy, but Napoleon controlled the continent. Still, England had lots of money and helped continental powers strike at France, and in 1803, the War of the Third Coalition started. Napoleon crowned himself emperor in 1804, largely undoing the democratic efforts of the French Revolution. In 1805, two major battles happened. The Royal Navy defeated the Spanish and French fleet at the Battle of Trafalgar, while in December Napoleon scored arguably his greatest victory at the Battle of Austerlitz. The next year, in 1806, the war was over, this time with even more rewards for Napoleon, who created the Confederation of the Rhine, annexed Austrian territory, and notably got the Holy Roman Empire dissolved, which had existed for over 1,000 years. But later that year, another war broke out, the War of the Fourth Coalition. Unsurprisingly, Napoleon won easily. By this point, Napoleon pretty much controlled all of Europe, either directly ruling it. Besides the Ottomans and Portugal, all the continent was under his thumb, and in November of 1806, he formed the Continental System to blockade England. Portugal, however, didn't abide, and he decided to invade in 1807. At the same time, Spain, previously an ally of Napoleon, revolted, causing the Iberian War. This bloody conflict would drag on for 7 years, partly as a guerrilla war, and English troops would land in Spain to help the rebels. The cracks were starting to show, and Austria, sad it missed out on the last coalition, joined the party again, and they started the War of the what? That's right, you guessed it, the War of the Fifth Coalition. This time, while Napoleon still won, it wasn't as lopsided. To try and buy some peace, Napoleon ended up remarrying to an Austrian princess, divorcing Josephine. But then, Napoleon's continental system was straining Europe, and Russia ditched the system. So in 1812, Napoleon invaded Russia. Here he would meet his match. The Russians traded space for time, using scorched earth retreat to make sure the French armies couldn't live off the land or engage in decisive battle. Napoleon took Moscow, but with no food or gear and winter approaching, he tried to make it back to France. Along the way, the Russians and Cossacks decimated his army, killing as many as 500,000 men. Smelling blood, the War of the Sixth Coalition started, and while Napoleon had some success, he ultimately lost and was exiled to Elba in 1813. But growing bored and resentful, he escaped back to France, raising an army and coming back to power for about 100 days. The War of the Seventh Coalition started, this time with English forces ready for the final showdown. The Emperor's fate would be sealed at the Battle of Waterloo in 1815 when English and Prussian forces defeated him. Learning from last time, the Allies sent Napoleon off to St. Helena. Napoleon died in 1821, leaving a lasting legacy on Europe. His wars killed as many as 6.5 million people, and his dictatorship effectively undid the French Revolution, plus he set back women's rights, but he also exported nationalism across Europe and governed very effectively. His high-speed mobility tactics laid out the basis for modern conventional wars, and after his overthrow, the concert of Europe was ushered in to assure that no major war would play out on the continent again, a dynamic that would last an unprecedented 99 years. How much of this does the Napoleon movie get right? Well, we'll just have to go and watch. Happy Thanksgiving, and thank you for watching.